listener production.
Before we get into this ep, we do discuss themes of eating disorders. So if that's not for you today, we hope you can join us in the next ep. And if you or anyone you know needs help, you can call the Butterfly Foundation on 1800 33 4673.
Hey, it's Antoinette Lattouf. This is the Weekend Briefing, where we park the news of the day and spend time with someone reshaping the conversation. And this week it is Jameela Jamil, British actor, writer, activist, known for her fierce critiques of power, from the erosion of women's rights and the rise of far-right ideologies, right through to the way fame and wellness cultures are weaponised online to make us feel shit about ourselves. You might know her as Tahani from The Good Place or Titiana in She-Hulk, but that's just one dimension of a woman who has built her platform by saying what many others are too afraid to say. Jameela's public and private life, well, they've been messy at times, complicated, but always unapologetically honest. She's challenged industries, survived cancellation attempts, and keeps bouncing back, even when she literally gets hit by multiple cars. And this isn't just a fun chat, it's a genuine, curious sparring match of ideas. We don't always agree, and that's exactly the kind of space we like to play in. And later in the show, producer Helen Smith and I share the weekend list, what we've been eating, watching and reading that's worth your time. But first, it's Jameela Jamil. Jameela Jamil, welcome to the Weekend Briefing.
Thank you. Hello.
Look, I want to start with your name, because in Arabic, I'm an Arabic speaker, it means, Jameela, beautiful, radiant woman, Jamil, beautiful, radiant man. I mean, that's pretty high stakes branding straight out of the womb, no? Have you ever had a conversation with your parents about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a nightmare because I didn't meet any kind of a beauty standard really until I was about 23. So it was a rough ride around 11, 12 with such a name, having to explain to people what it meant. But yeah, just terrible luck, really. My mother was always going to call me Jameela after my great-great-great-grandmother, and my dad happened to have a surname of Jamil, and she happened to fancy him. So it was just a clusterfuck, yeah.
For the first 23 years of your life, navigating beautiful woman, beautiful man.
Yeah, but also I'm British. Like, no one ever wants that for their name. But, it's an enjoyable name to say, Jameela Jamil. It's satisfying.
And you're Pakistani and Indian, raised in England, and you moved to the US as an adult. Do you consider yourself a third culture kid, or just culturally jet lagged, or where do you place yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of feel quite comfortable anywhere I am. I was raised in London, Spain and Pakistan, and, moving around a lot in the last 10 years for work means that it has to be in my marrow to be able to settle wherever I am, So I think that's just a personality type. I don't feel bound to any one place in particular. Maybe I'll move to Australia when I come there. Who knows? Maybe you're never getting rid of me. Sorry. Because it's England, but with better weather.
Look, I want to dive into your career, but what brought you to, I guess, global fame, because you were a radio presenter in the UK. You moved to the US because you had these dreams of becoming a screenwriter, $17 in your pocket, and suddenly you're auditioning for The Good Place. How on earth did that happen?
I ran out of money, and I wanted to be a writer, but it was going to take a very long time to make money as a writer in a new country. And so I went to my agents and I said, I'll do anything on camera, any kind of hosting job. So they set me up for 2 auditions. One was for a hosting gig in Vegas to host a magic show with Penn and Teller, the famous magicians.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one was to do an acting job for Mike Schur called The Good Place. Now, I didn't even want to go to the audition for The Good Place because I thought, God, I don't know how to act. I'm going to, embarrass myself, embarrass my agents, and just waste everyone's time. But they forced me to go to both just to even see if I could act. And I got both jobs, and I had to make the biggest decision of my life, which is, do I do the thing that I'm really comfortable at, that I've been doing for 10 years, which is hosting?
Yes.
and no one will probably ever see it, and it'll be in Vegas and it'll be a hoot? Or do I go and take this massive risk doing this thing that I might not be good at, where everyone might hate me and I might humiliate myself and them around the world, and it'll exist forever? And I took the scarier option because that's classic me. I always take the scarier option.
It feels as though that role was written for you. Did they then change anything, even the name?
Oh, they changed the name to my name. Originally, It was a woman called Tess, and she was very, very nice. And I explained to them that British people aren't very nice. We just seem nice, and actually we're very passive aggressive. So Mike Schur gave me the option of doing the character his way and my way. And he would pick in the edit at the end which version he used. And he used my version in the end, which was a meaner, more passive aggressive Tahani. So they shaped her for me a bit more.
Are you suggesting that you played a Tess-like character and did the line also in Tahani's character?
Yeah. So just kind of a nicer, more sincere version, or a slightly condescending, passive-aggressive version with something behind her eyes that means that, it doesn't gaslight Eleanor about her hatred of Tahani. I want there to be something, like that thing that girls do that men can't see. We have this invisible ability to hurt each other's feelings that men seem to miss. And I wanted Tahani to shoot out a little bit of that.
Can you do that for me? I would love a Tahani-style passive-aggressive compliment.
No, I'm not going to do that to you. No, I refuse. I refuse to enact this. No, absolutely not. No, you're a beautiful, glorious woman, and I shall not be saying a single passive-aggressive thing to you.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. Disappointed. So in addition to not only landing your first acting job and but also being, I love it, audacious enough to be like, you know what, this character's I'm going to change it. That speaks to you and your authenticity and the fact that you say what you think, you mean what you say. And I want to discuss how that has shaped the other parts of your career, because you are an inconvenient truth teller in the age of a very curated lie. Your I Weigh movement, let's unpack the genesis of that. At what point did you go, okay, well, I have had an unhealthy relationship with my body and my body image. I'm now well and truly part of an industry that helps, lead the way in setting those beauty standards. At what point did you decide I'm going to be part of the machine, and then also fuck the machine up a bit?
Oh, I was 26. I was on the radio. I'd got one of the biggest jobs in the BBC, which was the first woman in history to ever host the official chart, which is like the Billboard 100. It's a really big deal in England. And I gained 200,000 listeners in my first 3 months, which is unheard of because you normally lose listeners. And so for a woman to be able to do that was a huge achievement. And the Daily Mail decided to only publish the fact that I'd gained 3 dress sizes. I was on medication at the time, but also give a shit why I'd gained 3 dress sizes. I could have just been enjoying cake much more. But there were photographs of me plastered all over the magazines for a year of me documenting my weight gain and trying to embarrass me and getting pictures of me bending over. And I'd be out walking with friends, but they would isolate me in the photograph. So it always looked like I was alone. They would always get me with a somber facial expression, and they'd post it next to a picture of me skinny, smiling, looking really happy. And what's ironic is that my year on the radio where I'd gained all that weight, I was loved up, I was having sex, I was having fun, I was eating everything that I loved, I was getting better because I'd been really sick before the medication, and I was the happiest I'd ever been. And in the skinny pictures where I'm smiling and I look happy, I was the most miserable, anorexic and sexless and just in bed by 8. My hair was falling out. I was just so unhappy. And I found it so disgusting the way that they were shaping a narrative about my life that was a lie. And I realized how, susceptible I'd been to that narrative when I would look at celebrities, the way they would narrate their lives. And when they're fatter, they're unhappier. And when they're thinner, they're happier. And I realized, oh my God, I'm on the inside of the very machine that made me anorexic as a child. Fuck this. I'm going to tell everyone. So I was 26 and I just blew that shit wide open. And I started speaking about it to anyone who would listen. I went and spoke in Parliament. So, people think I started talking about body image back in 2018, but it was actually 2012. It's just that it was more in Britain, it became global in 2018. People thought I was trying to do it to be trendy. And I was like, no, 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 no. I've been in this shit for a very long time.
Well, I mean, wellness is quite trendy. At the moment.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't when I was talking about it.
No, but also a certain type of wellness. And sometimes it's difficult to differentiate when it's just unhealthy eating wrapped up, packaged in wellness. Like, are you seeing that online as well?
Yeah, everywhere. Like, I think eating disorder culture has found its way into wellness from pretty much the get-go. Anytime you become super restrictive with eating and it's like no oils, everything macro, micro, vegan, obviously I'm not saying that all veganism, but I think some people can hide behind veganism to enact an eating disorder culture. I think a plant-based diet is great, but anything that makes you start to look at foods as good or bad or healthy or unhealthy, obviously fast food is just shit and we shouldn't be putting it in our bodies. That is just a fact. Anything processed is bad. But we started to demonize different foods and that became quite dangerous quite quickly. And so I think I can't remember a time in wellness where eating disorder culture wasn't present.
And you've rebranded your movement as Move for Mind. What does the rebrand mean?
Move for your mind more means that we've discussed all the eating disorder stuff. We've discussed the patriarchy. We've discussed the diet industry. We're all now very aware that these fast fad weight loss things don't last. 95% of diets fail. We understand where it comes from. We understand the subservience to the patriarchy and wanting us all to be super skinny. So now what? How do we now, IWay was always supposed to be a mental health movement. So we've all spoken about all the different mental health problems. Now what do we do? Some people are on a long list for medication. Some people can never afford medication or healthcare. So how do we get them to feel better today, now? And so it was about finding a way to exercise that didn't involve weight loss and eating disorder culture. Because everyone needs to exercise, but a lot of people don't because they feel as though it has to be towards a goal of looking a certain way. And that feels really fucking intimidating. And gyms are really intimidating and classes are intimidating and it's very elitist as a world. And so I wanted to create a safe space on the internet where people could go and find out about how to exercise at any size or with a disability or at any age, and it not be about curating this perfect beauty standard. It's just about feeling better, than you did 15 minutes ago. It takes 15 minutes and 9 seconds to receive the positive endorphins from exercise. So let's just move your body for that long and start there.
And so obviously you are incredibly passionate and you've been speaking about body image for a long time and eating disorders. But in addition to taking on celebrity culture, you also talk about politics, about bigotry, $1 billion industries. After surviving anorexia, you've had multiple surgeries, insomnia, even getting hit by a car while running from a bee, as I understand. Multiple
cars. Yeah.
I love that you don't do things small. He's like, I'm going to get hit by a car. I'm going to get hit by multiple cars because that's how Jameela Jamil rolls.
Yeah, sample all the cars, see which one's the most fun to get hit by.
Is that what makes you uncancelable? Because you're like, bitch, I have survived anorexia, multiple cars, multiple surgeries, disability. I'm still standing. You can't fuck with me.
No, I think I just look at my life in the same way that a white man looks at his life, which is, why not me? Why can't I try that? Yeah, fuck it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll try anyway. Maybe I'll figure it out. And if I don't, they'll fire me and I'll go and do something else. They have such a chill way of looking at the world. And I like it. And so I took it for myself when I was very young. And I thought, yeah, why not me too? How about I just go and try this thing that I'm completely underqualified for? Men are hired en masse for who they're going to be, for what their potential is, and women are hired for what they've already achieved. And I think that's fucking bullshit. And I think it means that therefore we don't go out there and really try and find out what we're made of. And I would like to find out what I'm made of. I have no idea what all of my skills are or all of my weaknesses are. I'm only going to find out by trying. So I just look at the world as an adventure. I don't give a shit about my legacy. I don't care about what happens after I die or what anyone says about me. I don't even really care what anyone says about me now. I am here to have my own personal adventure and to see what I can achieve and to see what I can get away with and to see what I can change. And so that's what I'm doing here. And no one can get in my way. They can remove me altogether, but they can't make me stop myself. The biggest tragedy of women is the way that they convince us to stop ourselves.
Yeah.
We stop ourselves. We back out of the opportunities. We don't put ourselves forward. We don't step in the photograph. Like how many of my mum friends like back out of the photograph and they want to take the picture of the husband with the kids because they don't like their body at the moment. And you're like, fuck, your kids aren't going to have that picture to look back at when they're older. You're not going to be present in anything. You're not going to be there in the holiday photos. You're going to be absent from everything. You're not going to go for that job. You're not going to go for that dream. You're not going to go for that guy or for that girl.
Yeah.
We count ourselves out. And so I think what I meant by having a white man's mentality is that like I just don't count myself out of anything. I throw myself into everything and I just see if anyone wants me, and if they don't, that's fine, but if they do, fucking great.
Love that.
And it turns out more people wanted me than I could have ever imagined. And so that's been a nice surprise. I would never have found out if I'd played it safe. I'm just not here to play it safe. Life is already so fucking dangerous as a woman, just to get from A to B, just to leave your house and go to your job. I feel like in the areas where my life is not physically in danger, that's where I want to take risk. There are so many places I can't take risk. I can't go for a walk in the evening on my own with my headphones on. So let me take risk in every other area of my life. Who cares if I get embarrassed? Who cares? It makes for funnier stories.
A lot of people care, and that's why a lot of people don't try. That's why a lot of people shy away from their opinions. It's why they don't take a stand.
Yeah, but you never get to find out. One of the best things about getting embarrassed on a global scale is you learn that, oh yeah, there's life after death and everything moves on and everyone moves on and your friends love you, if anything, a bit more because you're now more relatable and it's funnier. So
right.
I'm a huge advocate of failure.
Okay. And you haven't lost friends by taking a stand, by almost being cancelled, by being targeted. You know, I think people fear the repercussions. It's why they aren't bolder.
No, I haven't lost any friends. I've lost some people who were using me for job opportunities where when I was like really on my way up and I was like Time Magazine's 25 most influential list and I was on the cover of like 5 different Vogues, loads of people were taking me out and parading me around. And then I got into trouble and then suddenly people didn't want to talk to me anymore and they weren't texting me back. And I was like, well, you were never my friend to begin with. And then I got Marvel and all of a sudden they were back. Yeah. And then I was back on the cover of Vogue and they were all really back. And I was like, nah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself and die in a bin. But those people were never my friends. My friends have been friends with me since I was 19. They don't watch anything I do. They don't give a shit. They're all here. They think it's hilarious how much trouble I've gotten into. And they love me for it. And they've seen my vulnerability for it because no one likes a fucking hero. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's more,
they do if it's a Marvel character. They do if it's a Marvel character.
Yeah, they do if it's a Marvel character. But even then, we kind of prefer Loki. Do you know what I mean? We kind of prefer the bad guy. We preferred the flawed one who had the sad childhood. We want to relate to people.
You're unafraid to stand alone. And you have called out Israel's war crimes. You've been shadow banned, blacklisted. You said in a comment that, you lost a lot of work and you said ceasefire 200 times more than your colleagues did. What's it like being the loud one in a room full of cowards or people who are too afraid of their patch and their careers to do the right thing?
It's very depressing. It's very depressing. But it's not been lonely because everyone's been kind of privately rallying around me and supporting me. But that kind of makes it even sadder.
I hate the private messages because we've got a similar situation in Australia.
It makes me really sad. And I have lost opportunities and I have lost money, but I haven't lost my integrity. And that might not matter to everyone, but it does matter to me. They say, in 20 years' time, we'll look back and we will all have been against this.
Yeah.
And this is a time when we will have learned what we would have done. We always wonder when tragedies have happened in the past, what would you have done if you'd been there? And now we know. And I'm glad to know that I wouldn't have been on the wrong side of history. I'm glad to know that I give a shit and that my heart's still beating and that money cannot plug my arteries.
Of all the things that you've faced backlash for, though, Is it fair to say that criticising the military war machine and criticising the human rights atrocities in Israel is one of the things that makes you the most cancelable?
No.
No?
I'm a woman. Anything I've spoken about has gotten me into extreme trouble at some point or the other. So I would say that I've had my fair share of getting into trouble no matter what I speak about. You know, speaking about men's violence against women has received so much backlash from certain men. So, you know, it just really being a woman and having an opinion is enough to get you taken to pieces. And so I would say it's kind of been an even distribution throughout my life of speaking out. And the only way for that to stop is for more women to use their voices to speak out until there's so many of us that they don't know who to take down. While there continue to just be a few who stand up and speak out, we're easy targets. But if you care about the progress of women or minorities, you have to stand up with us so that they don't even know who to take aim at. And that applies to every cause.
Yeah, we need more help to fuck shit up.
Yeah, we need more support. You know, like the world is not supposed to work where someone stands on a soapbox and preaches to everyone and leads the way. The world changes when all of us make micro changes in our immediate circles, right? We don't need one person to guide change. That's not how it works. And then that one person's really fucking vulnerable and will be used as an example, you know, to scare everyone else from trying. What we need is for everyone to recognize you might not have 1,000 or 10,000 or 1 million followers on Instagram, but you have 10 people around you whose lives you can change today. So if we all, 9 billion of us, focus on our immediate surroundings and influencing each other, then we would change the world and we wouldn't need people to stand on their fucking soapboxes and preach to the masses. It doesn't take great expertise or education. I left school at 17. I'm still learning. I'm imperfect. I'm underprepared. I'm out of touch. And I'm here and I'm trying and I'm scrapping it now. There is no time where you become qualified to help other people. And you have to understand that that influence is just talking to your grandmother, talking to anyone who's of a voting age, helping support homeless people in your area, helping, you know, fund the arts, helping fund kids, helping people with disabilities. Like, we can all make these little changes. They don't have to be mass sweeping changes that get you a statue or a picture in a fucking museum. An activist is just someone who takes action, and anyone can do that today. And it would be so much better because then you wouldn't have to listen to people like me fucking rabbiting on my nonsense. You could just be doing it yourself.
I do enjoy you rabbiting on your nonsense, but I know that sometimes the algorithm punishes you for daring to have an opinion, but you game the algorithm with a bit of a wink because I love seeing your thirst traps to trick the algorithm to platform more of your activism. At first I was like, I don't know if that really works, or is this just like Jameela's just noticed this is like a banging hot photo of her and she wants to share it. But then I did it myself. I emulated it and it fucking works. It works.
Yeah. Tits are power. It's depressing.
It's so depressing. I would post a sultry picture and then all of a sudden everybody's interacting with my content again. And it's wild.
People think that I've been offline for 6 months and I've been posting every day. And as soon as I post a picture of myself shaking my boobs at the camera, there I am at the top of everyone's feed. It's an attack on women. It's a war on women. Social media is a war on women.
Do you sometimes think, well, I don't want to exist in this ecosystem, but I have to exist in this ecosystem? It's like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
I think the best thing I could do for now, while I can be bothered, is just create a safe space so that if you are going to exist on the ecosystem, come to my page and there'll be like interesting information. There'll be funny pictures of dogs and videos of dogs. There'll be content that makes you feel seen and heard. And so all I do is my Substack is a safe space of essays. My TikTok and my Instagram are just a safe space on the internet where you go where you know you're not going to get harmed. You're not going to be made to feel bad about the way that you look, bad about the way that you live, bad about your personality. You're just going to feel either impassioned or you're going to laugh. And that's it. And I think that that's what most of us should be trying to do with our social media. There was a time when social media was fun and engaging and interesting and not just full of combat. And I would like to get us back there. And so, you know, I've just created my own little world and I don't see anything toxic on social media. I don't see any celebrities. I've muted or blocked them all because they suck.
All of
Pretty
them.
much all of them. There's very, very few. I think I follow comedians now.
Okay.
But I don't like following liars, and I don't like following cowards, and I don't like following people who trigger bad feelings about me and myself. And that's not their responsibility. That's just on me. But I don't have to look at this stuff. You know, when I was a teenager, I used to go out to buy a magazine that would make you feel like shit about yourself. Now
Yeah.
it finds you. So you have to protect your space. So my space is mostly comedy, dogs, and social justice.
How is your mental and physical health, given just how tumultuous it has been throughout your teenage years and your 20s? How are you at the moment?
I mean, I'm struggling with lasting damage of having had anorexia for a very long time. So a lot of my health is really fucked up. And that's why I'm so annoying and relentless about anorexia and eating disorder culture, because young people just don't think it's really going to hurt them because they're young and they're resilient. But it comes back to haunt you later in ways that you could never imagine. And you end up just being in pain every day. And then you really regret the decisions you made just to be skinny when you were in your 20s. So I think I deal with the ramifications of that. But generally, I'm a healthy person. I have the odd emergency here and there, but I feel good. I've never felt more sane or more awake than I do now. I've never felt more myself. And I think that's partially down to, I'm going to be 40 next year. And so I really know myself, and I've started to actually enjoy the way I see the world. My heart's fucking broken at what's happening in Palestine, in Congo, Sudan, Afghanistan, America, Britain, Germany, France, like Poland. I'm very sad to see what's happening to the world, and mostly what's happening to women. But I feel ready for the fight ahead because I've been pacing myself.
What's the fight ahead?
The fight ahead is against the global backswing of fascism, towards conservatism, towards, and I mean very specifically conservatism for women, not conservatism for men. We're heading towards lots of freedom for men and very little freedom for women. And we're distracting women with beauty ideals while we slowly take away right after right after right after right of theirs. And we're glamorizing the position of the trad wife. And I think being a housewife is gorgeous. And I think being a mother is gorgeous. A full-time mother is gorgeous. But it doesn't look the way these women are making it look. They're never scrubbing the toilet. They're never, they're dressed up. They have their hair and makeup done professionally, normally by other people. Someone else is filming them. They do a full day of filming, making these cookies from scratch or whatever. And their hair is always in this 1950s style and these 1950s clothes. And you're like, fuck, this looks exactly like 1950s propaganda, showing women doing housework and showing them like, you should buy this new vacuum. It'll make your life so much better. And the woman looks thrilled in the cartoon, and the husband looks happy and the kids look happy. And it's like, fuck, this is very dated propaganda we're being sold again. It's just that it's in video, so it feels modern, but it's not. It's the same exact aesthetic, the same exact messaging. And that's what worries me. I think anyone should choose any path for themselves. But when they start to homogenize the way that we should look, the way that we should behave, the way that we should dress, the way that we should live our lives, that's when I become very suspicious. That's when it feels like we're descending towards fascism. And every time throughout history that women have gained too much power, too much independence, become too confident in themselves, this stereotype comes back. Look at the war. During the world wars, women had to step up because men left the country to go to war. So women had to keep the country going. We did a phenomenal job. It was women who built the Waterloo Bridge, 350 women who weren't credited, who are now being credited. We were doing hard labor. These countries didn't fall apart. They started to thrive again under us. And when men came back from war and they wanted their position back, they were like, what's really great is being a skinny little housewife. And that became the propaganda. And we shamed women who didn't want to fall into that archetype. And we're right back there all over again. Women got too independent. We were doing too well at school. We're doing too well financially. We're buying houses faster than boys. We're just excelling, and we don't need men as much. And I don't want to need a man. I don't want to need my boyfriend of 11 years. I want him. And he stepped up to become the kind of man that I would want. And rather than most men doing that, I know, in fact, not most men, some men don't feel like they can step up, so they'd rather just drag us down. And I think that's very sad, not just for us, but also for them. So we need to encourage men to step up because they can do it. And it's so funny, I've been talking about this for a while now, that people think that I must be with a weak, soft man because I'm such a strong woman. But a weak, soft man wouldn't be able to handle a strong woman.
Yeah.
I'm with a strong, very masculine man who's not at all intimidated by me. He knows that I'm strong.
Same as me. I've been with my partner for 14 years, and I always say to him, it's like gorgeous, beautiful, positive masculinity.
Yeah, man.
And that's
He
what
knows that I can't rock his shit. Like, I can't take anything away from this man.
Yeah.
However strong I am, however much money I make, however successful I am, doesn't take away anything from this man because he's so confident in what he does and what he is.
Yes.
That is a real man to me. He doesn't need me to be small for him to feel tall. And that's masculinity.
You have recently said that one of the best decisions you've made is to not become a mother. And
Yes.
I entirely, respect any decision that any woman wants to make according to her body. I did take a moment to go, we don't require men to talk about what they're going to do with their bodies or their future or whether or not they have children. Did you wrestle with the idea of having to make a comment? Because that is like a pretty gendered thing that we expect women to discuss what they are
it's a really
or not doing
important
with them.
conversation because men aren't being pressured to do it. Women are being pressured to do it. So women who don't want to do it need to be vocal about it and need to make sure that it doesn't sound scary, because there's a lot of propaganda out there coming from men about the lonely cat woman ideal. And so we have to combat that narrative with something positive and empowering and not make it this like pathetic thing that you're definitely going to regret. You know what? If I regret the decision after I'm of childbearing age, I will adopt. There are so many beautiful, cute, wonderful, in need children who have been abandoned. There are about to be so many more because we are banning abortion in America and in many countries in Europe. Like, those babies need homes. So if I one day develop the urge to be a mother, I see nothing more beautiful than me making the decision to give a child a home. And what I would much rather do is not have children and regret that and then only hurt myself, rather than have children because I was pressured to by society and regret having the children and then resent them, and that hurt my relationship with them or their relationship with their children one day. I think it's very, very important. I can say I'm 39. I'm still not the fucking tiniest bit broody. I've held 3 newborn babies in the last week. I didn't feel a fucking thing. Some people are just not made for this. And my life is wonderful. And my friends who are mothers are incredible women who are living a very, very challenging and amazing existence. And then they have a love that I will never know. And you know what? That's fine, because I'll never know. I don't know what I'm missing out on. There are people who jump out of planes and it's a adrenaline and a feeling like I'll never know. I'm fine with that. I don't want to fucking jump out of a plane. That's fine. It's just not every experience is for everyone. And mums need support. And you know who's available to support those mums? Me. I turn up because I'm not busy with my own babies. I'm there. I've got wine. I'm wiping the fucking sick off your tit.
And you don't have a cat.
No, I'm there. I'm there when you need to talk shit about your husband or your baby, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm there to take you on a holiday when you've had enough. Like, I'm the fun uncle in everyone's life. And that's great. So we need women like me in society, because someone's going to look after the mums. It's not going to be the dads.
And speaking of fun uncles and living your life as a mediocre white man, what wild next move are you unqualified for that you're going to throw your hat in the ring for?
I don't know. I think I'm writing a book. I think I'm going to write a book.
Okay.
And it's not going to be about my life. It's going to be about society. And I think I'm going to get torn limb from limb. I think they're going to tear my labia off. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to write a book just to piss people off.
I mean, I can definitely see you doing that. That's right up your, that's in your
been
wheelhouse.
Going really well, and people seem to be enjoying my writing. So I think I'm going to write a book, and then I think I'm working on a few scripts that I'm writing at the moment. And so I think I'm going to make my way into writing for a while. And then I'm possibly doing my first big serious film next year that I just signed on to, but I'm not allowed to talk about yet. And who knows, man? You know, the coolest thing about my life is that I've never even had a 1-year plan, never mind a 5-year plan. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in September. Mm-hmm. I've never known what I'm doing 3 months from now. And I have no plan. Whatever I do, I hope to be outrageous and I hope to make women feel better about themselves.
Well, you've made me feel better about myself in this conversation, so I love that. And what can Australian audiences expect on stage? Is it like your Instagram feed on the stage minus the dogs?
Yeah, I'd say it's more like my Substack. It's like me completely unfiltered. It's you and me in a room.
There's no other way. There's no other Jameela than unfiltered though, right?
There is no other way. And it's a chance for you to get to ask me your questions. It's not me barking at the audience. It's a Q&A with all of us together. And we're going to get intimate. We're going to get very real. I'm going to piss you off sometimes. You're going to piss me off. And it's going to feel in my dreams like true sisterhood.
That sounds amazing.
That's what it is.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Beautiful, beautiful Jameela.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
And yes, lucky us, Jameela is live in Australia later this month. Head to Fane Productions for tickets to her shows in Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne. We've also dropped the link in the show notes. Now it's your favourite time of the week. It is the weekend list. That's when Helen Smith and I help you navigate that endless scrolling, or when you're opening the fridge, unsure what to eat, scrolling on your podcast, unsure what to listen to. We are here to help because we're generous like that. Helen, what have you got?
My first recommendation is Season 3 of Love on the Spectrum. Now, it's on Netflix. I've recommended Love on the Spectrum before. I love it. But I'll just give you a little recap. It's a reality dating show that follows young adults on the autism spectrum, and it shows them diving headfirst into the dating pool and exploring the unpredictable world of love and relationships, which is really a universal thing, but it really platforms what living on the spectrum is like of all different levels, and dating and relationships in a really, really nice, beautiful way, I think. But this latest season has some of my favorites like Connor and Tanner, who I love. They are just so full of energy and so positive and beautiful. And the things they say, I think, because they're on the spectrum, they're so unfiltered and you can just see their personalities really shine through. And it's just so awesome to be following them along on their journeys of love. I really love it. And then Abby and David are my favorite couple. So they're both a couple. They met on the show.
On a previous season?
Yes, on a previous season, and they have returned. So they return to the season and you get to follow their relationship. So I think the show is really doing a great job of new people dating and meeting someone new, but then also following a relationship of two people on the spectrum and how it works out and how the dynamics play and how it really focuses on, I think this is a universal thing for all relationships, that yes, once you're in it, you still have to put in effort. You still have to listen to each other. And I think that can be really forgotten in some reality dating shows that, hey, you're not just like, wham, bam, done.
Oh, yeah, you see the falling in love part and then the hard work starts afterwards.
But you get to see all the hard work and the appreciation that they have for each other, which I love. And Madison is a new addition, who's my favorite. And she is a really bright, bubbly character. And most of her friends aren't on the spectrum, which is another great relationship dynamic that they explore, I think, really well. And I'm really enjoying watching her going on her dating journey. So it's a really good, feel-good show.
And where can you watch Love on the Spectrum?
Netflix.
Yeah. Okay, Love on the Spectrum Season 3 on Netflix. This might not surprise you because, you know, I love musicals. Yeah, and one of my recommendations was go and check out musicals at your local schools, at the local schools. And then, you know, after I did that, I went and watched a musical that I just saw up on a sign as I drove past. And I was like, you know, that could be great. It was terrible. Yeah. Anyway, that's not my recommendation. But that one was terrible. And I remember sitting there going, I recommended this to all of the briefing listeners.
But I think we said you have to be choosy about, like, you know, if it's a performing arts school, it's probably going to be better.
Okay. Well, I didn't take my own advice in that regard, but I did go to the pros because I went and watched Annie the musical.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It was so good. It's the beloved tale of Annie, and she has been capturing hearts and minds of like musical theatre goers for generations. I took my 10-year-old there for her birthday. It was a very special treat because it was her first musical, and you probably know it's one of the most loved musicals of all time. And most people know the songs. Like, what song do you know from?
Oh, I know most of them because I've actually been in a production of Annie.
Of course you have.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna play this song for you because this is the one that I think is one of the most common, or well, the one most people could cite, only because I realised that I was singing the lyrics all wrong only by going and watching it. What do you think that song is called?
It's a Hard Knock Life.
Yeah, okay. So for all of my life, I thought this was It's a Hard Enough Life.
Oh, my God. It literally says it. It's a hard knock life.
Well, it's a hard enough life.
Oh, my God.
So I was sitting there loving it, and then I saw the pamphlet brochure thing, which I never buy because I always think
where's It's a Hard Enough Life?
Yeah, I'm like, where's It's a Hard Enough Life? And it wasn't even mine because I refused to buy those overpriced brochures.
Same.
I'm like, which idiot buys them? Anyway, the idiot next to me had bought it, and they
They're
went to the
all
loo.
idiots. Some people like doing that.
Yeah, well, I'm just not very sentimental, but I don't even have my birth certificate or my university degree. I don't know where they are, so I don't keep anything.
Okay.
Anyway, so I picked up the pamphlet, the overpriced pamphlet.
The program, yeah.
The program. And I realised it's the hard knock life. And I was like, no, it's a hard enough life. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
Beyond my terrible understanding of lyrics, it was just brilliant. It was the children were amazing that were singing, the adults who were singing and dancing. They even had a dog, she has
a real dog.
She had a real dog, which I just stole because I love dogs. Didn't have to do much. The only thing that, other than my realisation that I'm terrible with lyrics, is the storyline has a little bit of pedo vibes because it is the billionaire who brings a school-age girl home to his home for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
I haven't thought about this.
And I was like,
I think most things don't age well.
No. I was like, these are strange pedo vibes here because it was like, I don't have children. Go and get me.
You might have just wanted to adopt someone.
Go and get me an orphan. Go and get me a vulnerable person. And then when he had her, he was like, and bring all your friends. And as I was watching it with my very jaded, journo of many years eyes, I was like,
yeah, it's
that is the only
when
bad
you think
thing
about it.
I can say about it. But it's currently showing at the Capitol Theatre in Sydney at the moment until May. But then Annie heads to Brisbane in December. So if you can check it out, do so. If not, I mean, the television or the film adaptation.
The new film adaptation is really good too.
Yeah, both are great. So you can never get enough of Annie, and it is a hard knocks life.
God. I can't believe you didn't know that. But also I'm low-key not surprised at the same time. My next recommendation is a Pilates studio that I've been going to. And I love Pilates. I also think it's really good for your body if you do it correctly and use good technique. But I'm going to the Real Life Studio. They've got a few around Australia. It's called Peaches Pilates.
Okay.
But if you can't make it to a studio, the Peaches Pilates app is really good. And that's how I kind of got back into Pilates with Peaches as well. And I got it on a Boxing Day sale. They have sales throughout the year, and it's $10 a month for the app. And there's like monthly challenges in it. There's all these different exercises you can do if you're pregnant, no weights, with weights. It's really a thought out app that I like. I've tried a lot of exercise apps, and this one just worked for me. And it's also pretty and just makes you want to do it. But I think the regular price is $20 a month, which is still pretty good if you're just doing it at home. You can put it on your laptop, put it on your phone. And I just really love it, and I love the way the classes are taught, the styles. You don't need any equipment either. You can literally just do it at home. You can use cans of soup. You can, use anything really. You just need a mat or a towel to lay down on. And yeah, if you're feeling a bit in like exercise rut, the gym's so expensive, this app is really good, and it's just really a nice way to get back into moving, especially I had a running injury from my back and couldn't do much. So I was like,
Is this when you were doing Run Club to find a boyfriend?
Yeah, it didn't work.
You just came out with a back injury.
I just came out with a back injury, still single. but thank God I got back into Pilates, so that's good. But yeah, no boys in the Pilates though.
Peach Pilates, the app. Do it at home. Okay.
Do it at home, do it wherever. If you can get to a studio, do that. But I know apps are generally easier for everyone.
Nice. I did mention that sometimes we're stuck in the fridge or standing at the fridge unsure what to eat, and I have been doing something because I'm so stung by the price of groceries. Like you walk out, you've got 3 bags, it's cost $200. And so if I find that I'm having to chuck any produce out, I get really angry with myself because it's quite literally, a waste of hard-earned money. And so I just look at what's in the fridge and I Google it. So I have capsicum and condensed milk and chicken and whatever and an egg. And I'm like, well, that's what I have. So surely somebody's made something with this concoction. And I put it into Google and I cook what comes up. And sometimes it works deliciously. Other times it's just average. But why are you? Because you're laughing at me.
Because there's an app for that. And I've told you about this app. And
but you and your apps, you recommend so many apps, I can't keep up.
No, this does that. You put in what you've got in your pantry or what you've got in your fridge and it will spit out recipes for you.
Oh, what's it called? Is it called Google?
No. So it's called Saveful. Saveful.
Saveful.
So S-A-V and then full. Saveful.
Oh, in one word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's literally, it does that. And it's there. You can actually track how much money you're saving and like the impact you're having by not throwing out these groceries that you're making a meal of, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
but
that is what I'm doing.
I'm
doing the less sophisticated version. But yes, I'm doing that. So you can either do what I'm doing, which is the very kind of like millennial, you don't listen to your savvy peers, or you can get the Saveful app.
Yeah.
Save and FUL and do that because like screw throwing literally money and food away, but also beyond the money, it actually pushes you to be a bit more creative with what you cook because you probably find that
you get
most people cook 10 to 12 different dishes and just do that on repeat.
Totally. I do that on the repeat. Also, one thing I do to save like my food is I'm so bad. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Sometimes I have to take stuff out of the crisper and put it up the top of the fridge so I remember I have it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like fruit and veggies go so bad if you just forget they're there. And then you buy new stuff and you're like, oh my God, I've just wasted however many dollars on this broccoli. Even though I buy frozen broccoli, screw that. But on this thing that's wilting away. Right now, girl, groceries are expensive.
They bloody well are. So Saveful, that's my recommendation. Thanks for saving me and finding an app. But that is all we have time for this week. Thank you so much for joining the Weekend Briefing. We want to hear your views. Tell us your tips on what it is you're watching. Helen and I do our best to watch and read while I read. Helen doesn't. She listens to audiobooks. But we consume as much as we can so we can share our tips with you. But we also love your pointers. So do send us a message on Instagram with what it is that you have been doing and what you recommend. We also have a favour of you to ask. If you loved this episode with Jameela Jamil as much as I did, take a moment to hit send, share it with a friend or 10, share it with your cousin's WhatsApp group. Do what you can to spread the word, get us into more ears. And you can also leave a review at the bottom of this podcast on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Share the love, share the podcast, and share your tips on what to watch, see, eat, do, and everything in between. You can also check us out on the Listener app, which is free to download wherever you get your apps from. But that is it from me this week. The team will be back in your headphones on Monday with the news and a fascinating deep dive. Look after one another, and I'll catch you next week.
Listener.